What is up, guys? This is SpaceKryptonite, here to bring you the history of the world's fastest bot in Robocraft. It was revolutionary. This bot was brought up by many discussions as to whether or not it was an exploit or a speed hack. Ladies and gents, we are in the eyes of the Uber Warp Drive. So what is the Uber Warp Drive and what was so special about this bot? It all started around March 2014. The early stages of the Uber Warp Drive utilized hoverblades to go thousands of miles per hour. This version wasn't the most practical. The Uber Warp Drive was built vertically since hoverblades can only be placed horizontally. Fun fact, there was no camera zoom during the time of this video. Anyways, I know what you're thinking. How is this even possible, Space? I thought hoverblades can only hover. This is sorta true. Hoverblades are meant to hover, but the issue arises when a bot is not in an upright position. The hoverblades will continue to give vertical thrust until the bot reaches an upright position. The speed also comes from excess amount of hoverblades because in these times, movement parts also had no limit in how much speed is given. So you could place tons of hoverblades and the amount of vertical thrust will increase drastically. The strategy was to have downward thrusters to keep your bot in a diagonal position. With the release of aerofoils on June 6, 2014, a turn of events happened. The Uber Warp Drive was patched. Hoverblades would lose power, aka vertical thrust, when they are too far from the ground. So what was born? The Uber Warp Drive evolved into the Uber Drive. Let me give you a minute to think about who created this bot. Yes, you're right, Bob the Biscuit. The Uber Drive was different, but resembles the speed of the Uber Warp Drive. This version was practical to use in the battlefield, and required more strategy behind its design. There are two different versions. First version was like the thruster stick, which was publicly viewed 2 days after the release of aerofoils. And the second version used a grill formation, which was released June 25th, 2014. Its functionality is kind of like the original Uber Warp Drive, except it uses thrusters instead of hoverblades. Robocraft had speed limits based off direction. This meant that you had a limit on how much power your thrusters gave when moving forward, upward, downward, or backwards. The loophole into breaking the speed limit was to have your bot fly diagonally. Given that you can keep your bot angled properly, the bot will continue to increase speed because the thrusters are trying to reach max speed limits on both forward and upward directions. Aerofoils gave this bot more stability, but you can indeed fly this fast without them. The biggest misconception about this bot was whether or not this was a bug or a speed hack. This tends to happen a lot when weird stuff happens in Robocraft. In the turn of events, the Uber Drive wasn't something that FreeJam saw as devastating. In a conversation with Bob the Biscuit and Mark, we can see that Mark tweets, quote, "Well, I think it's better that we fix the code as opposed to warn everyone, unless it's a massive problem," unquote. This is in fact true as to their decision to not give out warnings, but to wait until the patch comes through. So, what was the benefit of using an Uber Drive? This came in the form of dodging damage. Back in these times, there were no lock-on missiles or exploding bullets that had a large radius. No. You had an SMG, rail, or plasma. Your chance of shooting this bot at this speed is very low. The Uber Drive had its fair share of fun, but all good things come to an end. On December 9th, 2014, the release of Tanks Are Rollin' Out featured a patch to all creations of Uber Drives by adding diminishing returns. What is this, you may ask? This feature created limits for bots with large amounts of movement parts. Any parts reaching that limit will lose power. A higher limit was also placed so that if players reach that, the movement parts will have no power and only be made for redundancy. This in fact affected a lot of builds and became the new ceiling for speed limits for the Robocraft universe. Thus, warp drives will not come to existence, but will be memorable moments for all the vets that serve the purpose of using this type of bot. So that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below if you have ever used an Uber drive, and if you have, what was your experience? Definitely, I want to thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel. We have reached a new record of 1,000 subscribers. Seriously, I am honored to know that you guys are enjoying the content and wish for many more exciting moments to come. As always, this is SpaceKryptonite logging out. I will catch you guys later.